What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Heat Report. Welcome back to a brand new video where we talk all things Miami Heat basketball. In today's video, we're going to be talking about where the Miami Heat stand in the Eastern Conference come playoff time with all the new roster changes to the Eastern contenders. We're going to be talking about where I think the Miami Heat are, how realistic is that come playoff time they will be representing the Eastern Conference in the finals, and what are their realistic chances of winning the championship this season. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Close to 1,800 subscribers. Let's get it as soon as possible. Let's get right into it. So as we all know, the trade deadline has passed. The All-Star break has just now passed as I'm recording the video. All-Star weekend, I'm not gonna lie, was kind of mid. The All-Star game was cool. The skills challenge, I thought it was just too complicated. I know Adam Silver wanted to make it a little bit different, but I just didn't understand the rules at one point. Maybe it'll get simpler down the line once we get used to it, but I just thought that was way too complicated. The dunk contest was terrible. Three-point contest was standard. I liked the Rising Stars format. I thought that was pretty cool. And then the All-Star game was, it was pretty entertaining, apart from the fact that no one really played defense at all, which is what you expected from a game that didn't really mean much as far as standings are concerned. Jimmy represented us. He looked like he did not want to be there. He was bored. I understand that, man. With all due respect to Cleveland, it's Cleveland, and he could be in the 305 on the beach, chilling on his yacht, enjoying his Michelob Ultra or whatever he drinks, but instead, he has to be in Cleveland for this game, which he didn't even play in the second half, and probably because he didn't want to. So he looked like he was just out of it, bored, whatever. But now the guys get to rest for a little bit, and then we're back on Friday for a game, for our first game after the All-Star break. So it's going to be fun and exciting second half of the season. But the Eastern Conference is different now. It looks different on paper with a lot of these teams. Brooklyn got stronger, just added Goran Dragic. Today, literally 2 hours ago, added Goran Dragic. I know a lot of people wanted the Heat to get Goran. A lot of Heat fans wanted the Heat to get Goran, but realistically, where is Goran playing in the rotation? Like, I don't see any spot for him. Like, right now, I'm taking Gabe over Goran. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Gabe has proven all season that he's been a reliable option, and I haven't seen Goran play basketball all season. I've seen him in spurts in a Raptors uniform where he was not good, but I don't know how much stock I can put in that. So and we have Victor Oladipo coming back very soon as well, so I don't know where we're expecting to see Goran play if he were to come back, or if he did come back to the Heat, but he's not coming back to the Heat. He's on the Nets now, reuniting with his buddy Steve Nash, who he played with in Phoenix. But I get it. For the storyline, it would have been cool if he came to Miami, spent most of his career here. I'm pretty sure he spent more time here than he did in Phoenix. But yeah, he's off the board. The rest of the buyout market is kind of dry. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't know anyone who's in the buyout market right now who, if we add to our team, would make us that much better. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably take Caleb Martin over whoever is in the buyout market right now to be part of our rotation. So I really don't think we're gonna be making any moves in the buyout market. I don't think anything should be expected, because I think our rotation is fine. And like I said before, we have to remember that Oladipo is coming back. Markieff is coming back at some point. So that's two other pieces that we have to integrate into our rotation. I know a lot of people want us to do something just because the Heat are always active during this time, during the February, March time, because that's when, the trade deadline buyout market is, and the Heat are usually one of the more, active teams during this time. But this season, I think it's different because we've been the #1 seed on a team that has not been healthy. So you just have to factor in that when these guys come back and when we get a full healthy lineup, how this team is going to be. It's going to be really scary once everyone is integrated, and everyone has to be integrated. So I don't think adding too many pieces is the recipe for success back into the lineup. I think Oladipo and Morris are enough, and I think once they come back, Spo will have time to figure out what he wants to do with the rotation. We talked last video about who should be the guy, the 9th, 10th man in the rotation come playoff time, if there even is one, available. And I said Caleb, but Gabe and Strus were not even, or Yurtsevin were not even in my playoff rotation. So that's how deep we are. So I don't think the buyout market is really a realistic avenue for us to improve our roster this year. I do expect us to do something at the summer, at the draft, sometime during the draft. because there's no way that we freed up a pick to be traded this year, or I think that pick for next year. There's no way we freed up a pick to be traded for us not to trade it. You know, we did that for a reason. So I expect something to be happening during the draft time, where we trade that pick away for something. We traded away Akpala not only for the pick, but also because of signing Caleb Martin to the regular deal. So yeah, that is basically all the news that's going on around the league. But we do have to talk about what the new look East looks like, man. Obviously, you have the Heat at number 1, but right on their tail, Chicago Bulls are on a 5-game winning streak with the same record, 38-21. They've been consistent all season. Where do I see this Bulls team's ceiling as? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really scared of this Bulls team in a series. And now, Bulls fans, if you're watching this video, do not come at me and say, "Oh, this guy is just disrespecting us." Nah, like I think the Bulls are having a good season, obviously, but I think that the Bulls and the Heat, I don't think the Bulls are stylistically equipped to win a series against the Heat. The Bulls' weakness is 3-point shooting, and against a zone like the Miami Heat, they are not going to fare well against it. I really don't think so. DeRozan's having a really good season. He'll obviously show up. Well, we don't know if he will show up come playoff time, because he's had a reputation of choking in the playoffs. But for his sake, I hope that he fixes that, because he's been on a tear recently, breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record. Zach LaVine has been on a tear as well. Vucevic as of late has played well, but like I said, I don't really fear this team, as I do some of the teams that are going to be talking about next. But I would much rather play this team than like the Nets or the 76ers or a team like that. I would much rather play the Chicago Bulls team rather than the others. 76ers, like I said, I mentioned them. It's going to be interesting to see how they look with James Harden. I'm not a believer with the fit of James Harden in Philly. I think that he's way too ball dominant, and he's going to take away touches from Embiid, and I don't think he's a guy who can play off the ball. But we'll see how it works, man. In Brooklyn, I thought it was different because Kyrie and KD can spot up if they need to, can play off the ball. But Embiid this year is not an off-ball player, man. He's had the ball a lot in his hand. His usage rate is really high. They lost key shooting in Seth Curry. Andre Drummond was a serviceable backup big for them. So we'll see how that works. Brooklyn, as we all know, Ben Simmons, I thought it was a really good pickup for them defensively. I think he's going to be a big factor, especially because they don't really have another defender on that team who's really going to stop people like that. Javon Carter, they just cut him. He was a defensive first guard. DeAndre Bembry, who I really liked, was a defensive first wing. James Johnson is there, but he's kind of past his prime a little bit, so I don't know how he's going to affect. Same with Blake Griffin. But Simmons' defense is really, really necessary for that team. Seth Curry shooting is going to be a very, very big help, man. That was a very underrated pickup. I love Seth Curry. I think he's going to be huge for the Nets. And those are the two teams in the East that were really active. Cleveland, Karis LeVert. They got Karis LeVert. Cleveland is a team that beat us twice, but I think a lot of people are overreacting to that. By people, I mean Heat fans who think that we shouldn't play Cleveland in the series. I think we'd beat Cleveland in 5 or 6. I would probably say 5. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think Cleveland beat us twice, but if I'm not mistaken, we did not have Jimmy or Bam for either of those games. I know they have size. It's going to be tough against them. They're a young, hungry team, but and they had a really good run this year. It's not like their team is terrible. They have hoopers. Darius Garland, I'm a big fan of. LeVert is good. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley is rookie of the year in my opinion. But I still think that the experience of Miami, Spoelstra, they're a very inexperienced team, man. I don't see them making that big of a run come playoff time, and I think we can handle them in 5 games. The Celtics is going to be interesting. I do not want to face the Celtics in the playoff series because they have a lot of defenders. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think the Celtics would be harder than Cleveland, and maybe harder than Chicago. But maybe I'm tripping on that. I think the Celtics and Chicago might be equal. The Bucks and the Nets are probably the two teams that I do not want to face the most. Raptors, I think, are also in that same tier with the Celtics. The Raptors are good, but I think the Raptors, they have length and all that. The defense is scary, but the Raptors' depth is, I think, a reason why I'm not convinced with them in the playoffs. I know the rotations get shorter, but they legitimately have like a 6-man rotation. I think their guys are going to be gassed come playoff time. They had 2 really good wins against us, but again, we weren't fully healthy for those wins. So I think that when we are fully healthy, the Raptors, their defense is really, really good. Fred VanVleet's having a really good season, but I think their lack of depth will get exposed come playoff time, because I think their guys have to be gassed, man. Fred VanVleet, like, I saw a stat where they were playing 45 minutes a game. Like, that's not good for your body, especially in a 7-game playoff series. So unless they have the best conditioning team in the NBA, which I don't think they do, because I think that's the Heat, but I'm not too worried. I think we can beat them in 6, but I think they'll pose a bigger threat than the Cavs for sure, because of their defensive ability. And I do think that they have seasoned guys. Like, the Cavs are very young. The Raptors, VanVleet is a champion. Siakam is a champion. OG is a champion. They have 3 guys who are champions on that team, and who are big parts of their lineup. They're 3 best players. Gary Trent, I'm a huge fan of, and then Scotty Barnes is one of the best rookies in this class as well. So they have a very nice mixture of youth and experience, and Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the NBA, so they'll be tough. So if I were to rank these teams in order of who I would not want to face, I'd probably put the Bucks at number 1 for obvious reasons, because the Bucks are defending champions. They have spacing on their team that's going to help them. I thought Ibaka was a really good pickup. And you have to put respect on their name, man. They just swept us last year. I know it's a different team now, but and we took PJ Tucker from them, but they still are the defending champions for a reason. So I'm gonna put Bucks as number 1 that we do not want to face. The Brooklyn Nets, I'll probably put at number 2. Philly at number 3, and then 4 through 6 in any order. You could put Chicago, Boston, and Toronto, and I'd probably put Cleveland at 7. And that would probably be the order. Chicago, I'm not too worried about. Same with the Celtics and the Raptors, and I'm definitely not too worried about the Cavs. But the other 3, the Bucks, the Nets, and the Sixers, I'd probably put top 3 for sure. I think we can beat all these teams, though. I think we have a legit good chance to be in the finals this year. I know a lot of these teams made moves, but I think the Heat, I don't really get the narrative that people want ESPN and national media to talk about the Heat. Like, I would prefer it if we weren't talked about. Like, I like how people are not talking about us. That makes me feel better, because I keep saying it. That's when we're at our most dangerous, when people are not talking about us. And not because I think the players are on YouTube constantly scrolling, or are on Twitter refreshing to see what Stephen A. Smith is saying about us, but I just think that it's just less pressure. People aren't really expecting much of us, which is fine. We can prove them wrong. I know they don't see themselves as underdogs, but I like when we have the underdog mentality, when we're slept on, quote unquote. And I really like it when people are not talking about us, because I just think that that puts the pressure on the other teams. So even though we are the number 1 seed, I really liked how yesterday in the All-Star weekend they were milking it by interviewing DeMar and Zach for so long. That's fine, even though they're tied for number 1 with us. I think we've had the more impressive season with our injuries, but that's fine. They can talk about Chicago, they can talk about Brooklyn and the 76ers. I think the 2 best teams in the East are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. I think they will meet in the conference finals in one way or another, because they are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference, I think, hands down. And I do think that it's no coincidence that these are the 2 teams that have the least amount of drama, the least amount of media attention surrounding them. It's been about the Bucks. I mean, about the 76ers, about the Nets, about the Cavs, about the Bulls. These are the 4 teams in the East that have gotten so much attention. I think the Bucks and the Heat are quietly, cementing themselves as the 2 best teams in the East, even though all these other teams made these moves. So that's why I believe that the Heat and the Bucks are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference, and I think a conference finals matchup is inevitable in one way or another. So that's my prediction, man. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comment section below. If you're a fan of any other team, let me know down in the comment section below what you think about the Heat and about any other Eastern Conference team. Let me know, who do you think has the best shot to make the finals this year, like in order, top 3, top 5 teams in the East. Because I'm really interested to see your opinions, about come playoff time, who the best team in the Eastern Conference is, because it'll give me a good sense of if I'm tripping or if what I'm saying makes sense. So we're gonna end the video there. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Have a nice day. Peace.